All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardinellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And for those of you who are watching to the very end of our YouTube video yesterday, which is basically all of you because we know you consume every drop of every video, you'll notice we had to cut it short because we got some interesting news. There was a Wall Street Journal article that had suggested Bloomberg had reached out to the Yang campaign for a VP nod. Now, all kinds of speculation ensued about whether it's true, not true, so on and so forth. There was even some tweeting about 12th Amendment regulations and or not regulations. But we decided to do some digging before we just spouted a bunch of nonsense and opinions to see what we knew was really going on as much as possible before we talked about it. So here's what we came up with. Cody, tell us what's going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess as you alluded to, and this is something, by the way, that's not, there have been discussions for a while about Joe Biden potentially maybe tabbing Yang as VP in the background, but Wall Street Journal did come out with this article, so we definitely wanted to wait. I big time wanted to wait for Yang to respond, make sure there was no bizarre, out-of-character thing. Spoilers, there wasn't. So let's go through the article. The biggest thing I saw here actually was the blow-up online of people who didn't read past the headline, which I'll admit I do all the time with articles. I'm not going to hate them too much. Just saying, it happens. But here we go. Michael Bloomberg's presidential campaign has made overtures to Democrat Andrew Yang, courting the former candidate's endorsement and floating the possibility of Mr. Yang becoming his running mate, according to two people familiar with the discussions. Always my favorite thing. Just people familiar. At least they named it was two. That's interesting. So anyway, aides to the former New York City mayor reached out to discuss ways the two entrepreneurs turned politicians could work together as Mr. Bloomberg seeks the Democratic nomination. These people said, which again is not really news. Michael Bloomberg's staff is reaching out to every candidate and farmer to see how we can win this thing. Okay. Mr. Yang, who dropped out of the race earlier this month, didn't commit to join forces as he considers his own political future, a third person familiar with the discussion said. So here's the two main parts of the story I want to get to. One, that Yang said he's not interested. And two, I want to see whether they mention it here, but a source familiar with the Bloomberg campaign says that they never really seriously considered Yang to be a VP anyway. Michael Bloomberg is discussing with everyone behind the scenes everything. Plus, I want to get into something else. I think Andrew Yang mentioned this actually in a CNN interview, which it is. Well, I'll get into that in a minute, but I will admit the people who say it is weird seeing Andrew Yang like when they do this kind of annoying media thing where they're like, well, Andrew, since you're one of our commentators, we have you on the show tonight. Why don't you answer this question and we'll write an article about it because you're the news and you work for us. But anyway, it's just weird that the news works for us. It's kind of how CNN treats itself. Yeah. Anyway, though, he made it clear that what I can say is that, quote from Andrew Yang, multiple campaigns have reached out and it's flattering to be considered for a VP role or any role in someone's campaign, but he made it clear to every candidate that I ran on the set of issues, automation, he goes through, and I said if the candidate were to make a significant commitment in those directions, I'd be much more enthusiastic about considering an endorsement. So, something else
it looks like he
notice,
doesn't want to be used for his access to the Yang gang.
You also notice, though, he didn't say just outright, no, never, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So it is worth noting that, but at the same time, it is a big ask for Michael Bloomberg to adopt Andrew Yang's policy that Michael Bloomberg is polling better than Andrew Yang did. Now, Andrew Yang, I believe, has received more casted ballots, I think, but Bloomberg got a lot in New Hampshire as well. But you see what I mean? Like, it's just, he's not going to bend his platform over. And Yang has been discussing with multiple campaigns. Because there's cabinet positions if they were to get elected, which is way down the line. In the shorter term, potential endorsements and potential infrastructure things, all kinds of stuff, right, that gets discussed between these candidacies. However, one thing was interesting. I wish I had more stuff pulled up for it, but there was an absolute blow up. Oh, not blow up, but the people who thought Andrew Yang was going to CNN to be a grifter shill, and that's all I ever wanted to be, this definitely didn't help subsidize the Andrew Yang is a grifter shill crowd. Especially because something is interesting, though. I do want to highlight this compared to his comments as well. Going back a little while ago to November before Bloomberg, isn't it crazy? We go back to November 8th, not really that long ago. Bloomberg wasn't running for president November 8th. Yeah. He was still discussing it. But they asked Andrew Yang about it, and this is what he had to say at the time. He says, I'm friendly with Mike, and he's a great philanthropist, was a really stellar mayor. Yang, a tech entrepreneur, told CNN, but I will say it's going to be very, very difficult for him to jump in right now, somehow replace the thousands of conversations that many of the candidates have had with voters in New Hampshire and Iowa and around the country with ad buys. Now, what's really kind of tragically ironic there is Yang definitely was wrong when he said that, because I'm going to tell you this. All the hands he shook in Iowa and New Hampshire, Bloomberg's still running for president. He isn't, right? So it is kind of interesting looking back on that. But hey, it is what it is. It's a campaign, anything could happen. But the bigger thing to me was this I have the photo pulled up, but yes, there is a relationship that goes back a little bit with Yang and Mike, and it comes from this. When Mike Bloomberg was going around giving everyone money for, 15, 20 years probably, he did donate to Venture for America. So there is ties. However, this notion that Yang is some shill for Mike Bloomberg is a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're both from New York. Yang works a little bit in business there.
Also,
Mike
Yang
works in all the
wasn't-
business there. They interacted, but yeah.
Yeah, Yang wasn't even a politician by then. I mean, Bloomberg also gave to the New York food pantry. You know what I'm saying? I mean, are you going to say that, excuse me, are you going to say that the New York food pantry for the poor is just shilling for Bloomberg? I mean, at some point, there are just legitimate 501c3s that ask wealthy people for money. And those wealthy people, whether it's out of the goodness of their heart or just trying to look good, give money, and that's how they survive. And that is what American charity is. Okay?
Well, he's so rich. I mean, just something to do, Like,
Yeah.
I can go to a fundraiser today. Sure, I'll
Now-
give him $100 million. What's the big deal?
Now, here's something I just thought of, and I didn't think of it during pre-show, Cody, so you'll have to apologize. I sent you the link in Discord right now. So if you find it worthy of pulling up, I think it might be interesting for our audience. I thought maybe Andrew Yang might have missed the boat here on something, because remember how he said, look, I'd be interested in doing it. Like, I'm not interested in becoming a VP as a vanity project. I'm interested in actually saving our economy and helping us transition into automation, right? So he can do that either by winning, you know what I'm saying? But also, what if he just picked the oldest one, kind of like a gold digging woman, you know what I'm saying? Just picked the oldest one, latched on as VP, and the link I sent you are the odds of dying according to age and gender that's been accumulated by finder.com, right? And if you look at it, if you're reaching 82, your early 80s, and you're an adult male without the additional stress of the presidency, okay, there is an over 50% chance that you're dead in the next 8 years. All right. And, a 1/3 chance about that you're going to be dead in the next 4 years. So maybe we could actually do the math here, because, the Yang Gang loves math. And if you latched on to Bernie, gosh, he's going to be like, who knows what? Latch on to Biden, he's going to be, how old is Biden? These guys are all late 70s, man.
I think Bloomberg's the oldest of all of them.
Yeah, Bloomberg is the only one that I don't know the age of.
Bloomberg's the exact same age as Bernie Sanders. He's 78 years old.
Yeah, so look at that. I mean, that means they're 82 by the time they're starting their last
How
year
about this?
of their
what's funnier?
presidency.
How about this? I
Yeah?
saw someone say this on Twitter. I thought it was a great way of putting it. Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, and Michael Bloomberg are all older than the atomic bomb. I thought that's a pretty good reference point, actually. I mean, think about it. They were alive before. And now they were born during World War II. But I mean, like that was a long time ago.
Look, Donald Trump's only 73 years old. He's a spring chicken next
only.
to Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders.
Yes, yeah, sorry.
He's a spring chicken. They didn't even go to high school together.
I guess he was born after the war then, right? 47.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I was just thinking, if you pull up that graph, go down to 78 years old. By the time you hit 78 years old, all right, it's that third bar over is the...
Well, but here's the thing. I don't need this graph
I
to
mean,
tell
look,
me that,
there's
yes.
a 56.4% chance the guy's dead.
But that's...
That's better than a coin flip.
I
I mean, think about it. All of a sudden, you're in a 50-50 chance about being the president. And then, just like LBJ, you're running as an incumbent. What happened to JFK? Except for, JFK was purposeful.
Yeah, how old
and
is
he was
JFK?
young.
What are the odds of dying in 5 years when you're 47? How old was he?
No, actually, he'd barely turned over the threshold of 35 to be able to actually run. He was early 40s, I think, when he was president. By far the youngest president. So anyway, yeah, I was just thinking, hey, we're doing the math here, right? So you don't think that's a good not gold digger? What would you call it? Gold digger is when you're digging for money out of the relationship. Presidential power, what do you call that? Power digging?
Yeah, that's, I don't know, man. I don't think that's ever actually happened once.
Where
The president died of old age. And
in office and not in recent history. It's been in.
I think Andrew Yang
yeah.
should stick to whatever he's doing because it seems fine. I don't think he needs to be the VP for anyone. I don't think he needs to be thinking about the age of the person he's being VP for. No. I think the interesting thing here is, though, what's been called into question a lot here. And it is really interesting. And it's kind of one of the things that's funny about Andrew Yang going on CNN as a commentator the way he is now. Suddenly, people are looking at a lot of his comments a lot differently. Andrew Yang did say multiple times during the first debate, actually once during the first debate, he predicted it to be a good debate for Bloomberg. It wasn't.
Yeah.
He then said that it looked like Bloomberg did very good in the second debate. I did not agree. And what's interesting is just the fact that now he's got these comments out there on the record, which, by the way, anyone who's ever done anything, it goes really fast, and later on you're thinking back and you're like, oh yeah, what did I say again? I said what? I said Bloomberg was going to have a good debate. Why would I say that? But now we have the video. We have the tape, and it is interesting seeing him getting scrutinized. People are wondering, who is he going to endorse? Now, by all accounts, I've heard late next week, that is when to expect some kind of movement from Andrew Yang and what his political future is. Is he signing on with the campaign? What is he doing? We'll find out late next week. But it's funny how everyone's trying to read the tea leaves now. What's he saying on CNN? What's he tweeting about to try to get some insight? But he's a talking head commentator. He says a lot of things. I don't think we'll get too much insight there. He said good things about Bloomberg. He said bad things about Bloomberg. He said good things about Bernie. He said bad things about Bernie. It's kind of hard to read too much into it from there. But it is funny. It's kind of a fun discussion here. But it doesn't seem like Michael Bloomberg wants Andrew Yang to be his vice president, and it doesn't seem like Andrew Yang wants to be the vice president of Michael Bloomberg. So I do question why this article came out, because that's the second question. Why did this come out? Yang talks to every campaign. He said it. I've heard for weeks every campaign's reached out to Yang. Why did multiple sources familiar go to the Wall Street Journal and release this story yesterday? I don't know. But I do know it doesn't seem like there's either interest in being VP either way. So.
Well, and also you'll notice that Yang has never made any kind of overtures. Ooh, what a great word. He's never made any kind of overtures about who he is going to endorse. And he hasn't even done like the Mitt Romney generic, oh, I'm a Republican, I'll endorse whoever the Republican candidate is. You know what I'm saying? He's hinted that he's a little bit blue no matter who. You know what I'm saying? In a very hyper generic way. But there's been no indications of any kind of favoritism towards any other candidate that are really obvious. One might say he gets along more with Tulsi based upon, he seems a little bit more affectionate.
Tulsi Gabbard, that's a deep cut. There's a deep cut.
But see, that's what I'm saying. But that also might just be because they're the youngest people on stage.
Has he been he's been friendly. Maybe he'll bring Cory Booker back. They'll return as the tag team.
That's what I'm saying. Is it's difficult. It's really difficult to put any kind of title of favorite or preferable or above the rest on any of these candidates. They couldn't just be blamed upon some kind of natural hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? So, that's a tough one, man. I would really love to be a fly on the wall when Andrew Yang's talking with Evelyn and Zach Grumman about who they might endorse. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That aside, I can give my answer real quick. Would you still support Andrew Yang if he was the vice presidential candidate for Mike Bloomberg?
No.
Not a million years. I would be offended if Andrew Yang worked for Mike Bloomberg. I really would. I'm not gonna lie. And if it happens, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna go back. I would be legitimately upset. Like, he really is working for that guy.
Well, gosh.
Again, it doesn't seem to be happening because it seems like there's no interest either way. There's mutual disinterest from what I'm reading here. But still, I don't.
Well, you got to do something. See, I amend that statement. My initial reaction is screw you. You're working for Bloomberg. But then at the same time, there is some nuance. It's like, well, what is the alternative? Fading into obscurity for a while? No, that's why I think it's a good idea that he got this gig at CNN.
Okay.
So he's not fading into obscurity. But if CNN weren't on the table, at least doing something to help push the needle. I don't think you necessarily have to agree with all of Bloomberg's oligarchiness, okay? in order to serve on his campaign. Like even Elon Musk was on Trump's cabinet, and he said, yeah, because I view this as a way of pushing the needle towards more green energy, more solar programs, that you have to be working within the confines of the political system in order to help move legislation and political power along. So, my initial reaction would be what, but I'd give him a chance, and I'd want to hear out his reasoning first.
Well, before I want to make sure I just read this so you guys know it. They mention here that, where is that one? Pull it up. A senior Bloomberg aide said Mr. Yang was not seriously being considered to be the former mayor's running mate if he secured the nomination. Thank God. I don't think either of them want to work together because they just, dude, I'm telling you, I don't see why Yang would actually want to be Bloomberg's running mate. I really don't. Aside from maybe I can get in the White House. I don't know, but it's just, I don't think Bloomberg will win an election, A. B, this Bloomberg campaign is an embarrassing disaster I don't want my name associated with. I mean, I think that's underrated here. This Bloomberg campaign, as of today, embarrassing disaster. Weird, bizarre social media posts that are like a joke. Awful debate performances where he stutters, stammers, and looks like a fool. And if he underperforms in Super Tuesday and has to embarrassingly drop out, you would never want for 1,000 years your name anywhere near that campaign. I think it's one of the reasons why Bloomberg is overpaying so much, and he's going to have to keep overpaying staff.
Yeah.
As things get more sad, pathetic, and embarrassing, and we have more tales like people being paid to text their friends Bloomberg support and having their friends patronize them and respond like, are you hacked or are you getting paid? What's going on here? Like, you do not want to juxtapose yourself with that. Unless
Dude,
you're being,
Chad and JT goes deep got
gone.
toasted for that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a sinking ship from what I can tell. Now, he might get the superdelegate, double whammy play at the end, but dude, it's
just a very large and expensive sinking ship like the Titanic.
Well, on top of Mike Bloomberg being an awful individual as far as I would never want him to be elected over. Give me anyone over Mike Bloomberg. He would be the worst, I feel like. Because it's kind of the same thing where what concerned me most about Hillary almost as well. This guy knows too many people. He knows too much. Yeah. He'll get the crazy, absurd nonsense that's awful, and you'll think, never in a million years. People like him could get it done because they own enough people and they have enough influence. That's what scares me.
Yeah. So, anyway, hey, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. If you haven't had a chance yet, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you'd like to join the channel, it's a super inexpensive way to support our work and keep these videos coming without any corporate donations. Also, make sure that you guys follow us on Twitter. Cody lights up Twitter every day with all kinds of really cool stuff, all kinds of announcements. That's also where we get the word out for when we're going to be doing our live streams or possibly putting up additional content. So make sure you follow us on Twitter at PSP Radio 1. This is Problem Solver Politics. We'll see you guys in the next video.